the suppression of the use of marijuana and of the forces lurking behind it are the most important jobs this department is now engaged in. In 1930, the records on marijuana in the Washington office of the Narcotics Division scarcely filled a small folder like this. Today, they fill cabinets.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Coloradians and everyone that's smart enough to listen from the outside.
It's one of the most amazing plants we've ever discovered.
The pot party, the trippers, the grasshoppers, the hip ones, all gathered in secrecy and flying high as a kite.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another week of Stoned Appetit. With your host, as always, it's me, Kip. To my left, we got a loaded room today, but to my left, a couple seats over is CB. How are you, Big Bear?
I'm actually on the recovery from this past weekend.
Yeah.
We had quite a time celebrating two of our dear friends, and it was a banger of an event.
It was. Lots of partying, little sleep, lots of dank eats. We'll give an ode to those cats. We'll recap all of that on Thursday, because today we have a kick-ass guest joining us on the pod, and I'm excited to talk with them. Chef Andres Vega, did I say it right?
That's perfect, man.
Fuck yeah. It was that one's a pretty straightforward. I screw those up on a regular basis, but that one's pretty straightforward.
And I think we can just call him Andy moving forward.
Okay, that works. Deal. I was going to call him Chef. Show him a little fucking respect, Chris. But at the same time, we've got Eve on the ones and twos. She doesn't have her microphone because somebody forgot to charge them, Eve. Oh, she can't say. We can't hear you.
She doesn't have a book report prepared.
Well, you can't hear her say that it was my fault, so it's definitely her fault. But we have a great episode for you, and we will recap the weekend that was this coming week, including some tips on if you have guests coming into town, as well as maybe you're hosting a wedding or an event yourself, and you want to know about food trucks or other businesses that may be able to help. We'll talk about all that, but we're going to talk about some of that today as well. Before we dive into any of that, I want to give a shout out to our friends and sponsors over at Pine Melon Market. If you don't know, you need to know. Pine Melon Market is not only B2C, they're actually B2B for those that maybe are trying to find the best local produce in the area. They work with 200 plus farmers, meat purveyors, fruit companies, grains, mills, and all the things in between. Fuck, I've been eating ice cream sandwiches like they're going out of style. I just need to start doing ice cream sandwich plugs. Shout out to High Point Creamery. But no matter what you may be looking for from Pine Melon, they will deliver it to your door. So don't put your kids in a hot car in the middle of summer. Just get on your fucking phone or on the website, fire in an order from the comfort of your air-conditioned couch, or maybe those that don't have it, sitting in front of a fan like I am with this current weekend and going forward. No matter the situation, Pine Melon has the produce and products for you. If you haven't used Pine Melon before, you can sign up today and use promo code STONED. Like, I just hit this pen, I am stoned. And you'll get $60 in free groceries on your first order. Head over to pinemelon.com and get your groceries for the week. It's meal prep season because we've been eating like a bag of dicks recently, Chris. Goodness gracious. I mean, I felt terrible yesterday. Holy cow. I don't think I've felt that bad since I was 30. I mean, I didn't feel as bad as like Charles Crooks. I guess we'll talk about that on Thursday too, but at the same time, I was not feeling good.
My feet were swollen.
Yeah? Gout? Dancing too much? Drinking too much?
All of the above.
Tea?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, I'm going to let you do the honors while I crack open a nice seltzered tea and let you run with it. So I'll be back in a couple minutes. I got to rehydrate.
All right. So, Chef, we always start off with a big-time question. Are you a transplant or local to Colorado?
I'm a transplant.
Where are we coming from?
Miami, Florida.
Ooh,
nice.
Miami.
Yes. It was a little hot there, though, for me, so I like it here. I like the weather. We get a little cold, and then we get back to, some sun in the fun.
Cue Will Smith's Miami song.
Okay. Not more than 10 seconds because we'll get DMCA. Thank you, Eve.
Okay, so let's see. How did you end up out here?
I've always wanted to go to Red Rocks, and my girlfriend knew this, and she got me a stellar Christmas gift. She got me tickets to go see Sublime with Rome at Red Rocks, and she bought me like flights out here. So we came out here, and we were here for like 5 days. And on the 5th day, we were sold, really. Like, it was after that, we went back home, but I'm a little crazy. So, like, I ended up back in Miami by mistake, and I was ready for adventure. So when we got back, I was like, I'll move to Denver. Like, we can do this tomorrow. And she's like, we got to be logical. Like, we got out the map. We looked like at different places, and Denver ended up winning. So here we are, and it's awesome.
What else was in the contention to be a home base?
A little Canada, but I have like a little like a reckless driving at some point in Miami along my life when I was in culinary school. So like Canada doesn't like that. They don't like that. No. Which I was just like, all right, put Canada out. We looked a little California, but the taxes are way too high. San Diego. I was like, that's the one I wanted. But we ended up just back on Denver every time.
I mean, those aren't bad options. I mean, land of the progressives up north and out there west, it's just expensive as the day is young. And now we're getting to that point, but at the same time, it's a nice kind of best of both worlds. Like you said, weather kind of is in that same camp. And I think we could all say that we did the exact same thing. Chris being from Alabama, I'm from Mississippi. And we actually have a guest joining us who's not on microphone, but he did the exact same thing. Came out here, fell in love with it, was like, screw it. I'll stick around and go to school for a little while. Shout out to our boy Jess Manning, longtime listener, first-time caller. But it's, great minds think alike. We all are now in the sin den down here in the basement, but it is very crisp and cool down here.
It feels great.
So, have you always been in the food game, or what were you doing before you moved from Miami out here? You look like you're pretty young, so I don't want to date you.
No, I'm 36. I guess I'm young enough. It depends. In chef world, I'm a fossil. I work with like 19-year-olds when I was like 32, and I would listen to them like because they knew more than me. I was happy to learn from them. Like that's one of the cool things. Like this industry just equalizes you. It's not really like your age. It's just like what you know and if you want to learn it or not from people.
It feels like there's also I worked under this person means a lot more than, I've been on the line at this restaurant for 10 years. It's like,
agree.
Like you could have been like 6 months at EMP, and it's like, okay, I can trust this guy. I don't give a shit if he's 20 and maybe a little bit of a loose cannon, smokes a lot in the deep freeze, like, or walk in, things like that. But how did you fall in love with food at a young age, or were you always working in the kitchen?
My grandfather owned a bakery, and I used to like work there as a child a lot. Not a child, but like ages like 13 to 21, I would be there in the summers and all sorts of that. Yeah. And I always thought I wanted to run that bakery, but I ended up doing I went to school, I got a master's in accounting with like a focus in taxation.
Jesus.
I did like this brand strategy consulting job that I got in New York. I was on a vacation in New York, same story. I was like walking out the door, and my stepdad at the time was like, hey, take a suit in case you get a job. I had just gotten my master's. So I went out there and I did an interview at a festival under some questionable scenario my brain was in. But the interview went pretty well. This girl's like, I think you should come interview with us. I did, and I was in New York for 3 years. I went back to Miami. I was doing some international business stuff. And I came back. I saw a friend who his grandfather owned a coffee farm. He took over, and I was like, I want to do something cool. I want to run this bakery. Talked to my grandfather. He's like, let's do it. I enrolled in culinary school. We didn't do it. And I've been obsessed with it since.
I mean, I think everybody would agree, tax accounting would make you want to pull your hair out.
That's
you got
the problem, yeah.
It's like your fluorescent lights. You're just like, I can't do this. This ain't it.
No, I knew that before even thinking about taking an accounting class in college. Absolutely fucking not.
Yeah, and to be honest, up in New York, it's like the antithesis of those cities you just mentioned and the vibe you kind of carry, which is they live to work up there, and we only work enough to live out here. It's like, okay, I made enough for Red Rocks tickets this summer, and that was all of my 20s. It was like, what's saving? That's cute, So, I mean, and, the culinary world may be a little bit more in that line than tax accounting. But no, I can understand why you chose that over the others.
I've been scared to go to the mountains because I haven't had health insurance for a while. Uncle gave me health insurance, but by the time I started paying for it, I was retired to try and open up this food truck.
Dude, I tore my fucking Achilles golfing, and I tore a ligament in my hand doing yard work. So the skiing, Chris tore his arm up in skiing. But realistically, you can hurt yourself any which way. So we thoroughly recommend Connect for Health Colorado on that one. That's a seamless plug from our January sponsors. So what year did you move out here?
2022.
Okay, so you're fresh.
Yeah, super fresh. I came out here in August 2022. I hit the ground running. I was still in an Airbnb when I started working at Uncle. I applied by mistake at 1 in the morning. I opened up some app and I was I wanted to see what you needed. And it was you need a cover letter. I was like, oh no, not now. It's 1 in the morning. So I hit cancel. It's congrats, you submitted your application. I was like, oh shit. And then I was working at Uncle like 2 weeks later. It
Shout
was
out
awesome.
to Tommy. They're great people over there. Wash Park or the Low High location?
The Low High location.
Okay, nice. Yeah.
So, but originally, if I remember, you really wanted Hop Alley.
Yes, I wanted to play with a wok. It looks like it's so much fun, and I've never gotten to work on one. There used to be this restaurant in Miami, like next to this bar called Gigi's, and they had like all these woks in the corner, and I would watch, and this was like way before I cooked, but I would just stare and just be like, that looks fun.
With the big fires underneath the holes,
Yeah,
and
and
they're
it
just like
makes-
tossing stuff on a regular basis.
Like the wok's been around forever. It's a really good cooking vessel. Like it makes a lot of sense the way it heats up, like the way it
gets
contains
hot as
sauce.
fuck.
You can do anything in there. It's incredible. So like I really wanted to work a wok. But then I like saw the kitchen at Uncle and it looked fun, so I did it.
I mean, either way, you were probably in good company. You learned a lot, and then you've since you've moved on from Uncle and started your own venture.
Yes.
And I'm going to mess up this word. Is it Sensara?
Sensara, yeah.
Sensara, damn
In
it.
Spanish, it's Sensara, but it's kind of fun. I like that it's like vague almost. Like it's almost frustrating to figure out. Like it keeps it. You have to look at it a few times to say it.
Yeah, Starbucks barista would fuck you up with that. Like, I can't even get Kip right. Well, so when did you launch your own entity?
Sensara, I did it from 2017 to 2019, and it went really well. Like I retired like the #1 brunch on Yelp. They were like coming out with this article, and we like put out that we were closing, and like the Yelp manager was like, "I'm writing an article with you #1." I'm like, "I'm out. Like I'm done. I'm retired for a little."
So
And
you're doing the pop-up in Miami.
Yes.
Testing it out.
I thought it was going to be a restaurant, but it just wasn't the time. Like by the time I was done closing it, it was like I needed a little break from it. It was like a lot.
At least you
I
closed
wasn't
before
prepared.
the pandemic, too.
Yeah, honestly. And I worked at like an amazing restaurant in Miami, Boyade. They got a Michelin star at some point. Like I helped them with their opening. Like I was part of their opening team. I didn't help them. They were geniuses. I was just like watching and absorbing whatever I could. But I was like on the line for their friends and family, and I learned so much from them. And then I helped open a second store for Tinta y Café in Miami. It's like a coffee shop down there. They got a Michelin Bib Gourmand for sandwiches, which is incredible. And I helped them open a second shop, and I like learned a lot just from that, like opening a restaurant, like a cafe from beginning to end. It was really like helpful for this experience.
That's what's up. And so, like, has it translated well? Because, you know, we've talked about Cuban sandwiches, which I know Chris used as his, like, thumbnail headlining picture in the new Food Truck Friday picture, and that looks so fuckworthy. Like, if I would take that to a bathroom and do dirty things to it.
And not only that, though, get this, there's like chicharrones on it.
Yeah.
For a crunch,
I'm going to have to go visit.
I love crunchy stuff in sandwiches. I've been getting them from different Mexican markets around. You know, like they have the giant I go right there, and I'm getting them from them because like
Just like cracking them down.
I'm in a food truck. I don't have like time to fry like a ton of chicharron, and like they're making good products, so I'm happy to like go there. I just show up. I'm like, I need 3 pounds, and I see their eyes every time. They're like, this guy's gonna clean out our chicharrones today.
It's gonna be $6. There's a place right off Federal called like El Zarapata, like on 9th and Federal, and there's this guy out there. It's not a wok, but it's a big ass circular frying drum is the best way to describe it. And he's just dropping shit in there, pulling it out, and just hanging it in front of the restaurant.
yeah.
I thoroughly recommend just swinging by and seeing what he's working with. But I guess my question earlier was like, has it translated well, like the concepts that you were like thinking of, and then like working through Uncle? You're like, the Denver scene needs this kind of cuisine like more regularly, because I only know of El Bohio, obviously the chain restaurant Cuba, and our friends out in Aurora at Cuba Bakery. Like, has it been well received? Do you see the niche in the city that will need it as well? Because that sandwich literally looks like immaculate.
I feel pretty good about it, and like I think that if you're cooking food that means something to you, and like you have something you want to say, or like you don't even need to say anything, you could just want people to eat well, and like you could just want to do barbecue and sit around and have a good time, and like if that's what you want, like I think that you can do it if you care. But like thus far, I feel pretty good about it, and the logos, that cat is awesome. I feel like she's just like money. So like I feel like people like the logo, I swear. I've been a huge fan of it since the day it was made.
I mean, dude, branding is a huge part of food trucks. Like, it really is. People don't think about it, but, like, getting that name out there, getting, like, the kind of, like, what people see when they expect your food, that's half the game. But the funny thing is, how'd you get the food truck?
Oh, so when I went home, my dad had passed away, and like honestly, I'm getting a little like carpal tunnel over time, like doing my job. And like I started to realize like I have a limited time frame like on my hands, like just to be where I need them, and I need to like build the brand at some point. So like my dad passes, I'm thinking about mortality. I'm like, I got to do this thing. So I come back to Denver and I like talk to Tommy Lee. I'm like, I'm gonna buy a food truck, and he's like, I don't know if you want to do that. And we like had a serious conversation about it. And I was like, I think Tommy's right. He just said everything I'm scared of, which is like, I don't know how to fix cars. Like I'm like what? Like I'm gonna just take my whole life and just drive it around and like. You have to find the guests and all that. So I was like, all right, let me look at restaurant spaces. So for 3 months, I was like looking at spots that I like 1,500 square feet, like 30 guests, like open kitchen, bar, like no waiters, front of house. Like I just want like a som, a bartender. I have this whole thing in my mind. And Tommy's like, hey, I know I said it, don't get a food truck, but like these guys, it was fucking Rapidos. He's like, this guy's selling his food truck, and it's like a pretty good deal. And I like,
You've got Long's truck?
Yeah, I looked at all. I looked at all the equipment, and I was like, this is pretty cool. And then I met him, and he's awesome.
I mean, he really is awesome. Love me some Long.
It's just so incestuous. Like the whole community out here, which is great. I loved it when he told me about Faux King Rapido's truck.
And I mean, you know, at the same time, when we were talking about it earlier, you know, just food truck life, like we hear from not only Long, but other folks, it's like, yeah, do you know how to fix your radiator? Or like, also, are you prepared? Like when you're talking with our friends like Penelope, Rob, and Knockers over at Yuan Wonton, they're like, it's 120 degrees out there this weekend. They're like, I'm glad we don't do the food truck except for catering at nights now. So like there are those battles, but at the same time, you know, it is a great kind of almost an incubator concept, like get the word out. You know, it turns into something like Long did or like what Penelope and them did, like, and then let it take off and then go and just take over Uncle, you know, like just tell Tommy to get out of that space in Lohi and let you take the reins of that location.
There.
Right? They do slay. They're so fucking good. But at the same time, you know, like make sure you're doing what you love and make sure the hand works, you know, and doesn't like just
I agree.
cause a bane.
I'm getting good. I like ice it at night. It's wacky. I sleep with little wrist guards, but like it's fine. But like it like tightens up. You're like wacky. I'm getting old, man. It's part of life.
Goodness gracious. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the menu that you have on there. Obviously, I've been talking about having sex with your sandwiches. Well, let's talk about the full gamut of what folks can get, as well as give us a little bit of your schedule. Have you found a place that you really like or a neighborhood where people have been receptive, where they can come find you if they're like, I got to try this sandwich that Kip keeps trying to have intercourse with?
I can send you some for home. Like you can take them. We'll box them up. We'll tape them. We'll keep them fresh. You can like freeze them if you need a couple.
Sorry, Eve.
You're good.
Eve doesn't have a mic today, so she can't yell at me.
So right now I'm doing the block distilling. I was there for a Sunday and a Thursday. I took a couple days here just to like dial in. I want to do like my accounting and like just some stuff I haven't been able to do while I've been opening the truck. I've mounted so many iPad things and like I can't even mount anything, but for August, I have a couple of events. 2 times I'm going to be at Novell Strand. I'm going to be at Zuni twice, and then I'm going to do the block, like I think 6 times, maybe 7 times during that time.
The brewery game is the strong way to go. And the team over there at Novels at like First, and it's in the Baker District for those that are curious. The Block Distilling, we've actually been talking about them recently. They've been doing a lot of pop-ups, and they've changed their summer menu, so there's a lot of seasonal cocktails and a nice little patio. You can people watch on the closed down areas of Rhino. I mean, those are primo spots, and then everyone knows Zuni, it just slaps, like, and it's always fucking busy. They have a hip little inside area, they have fun bingo nights, and they have live music on a regular basis, so you're aligning yourself for success beautifully.
Fingers crossed. I hope you're right.
Well, don't do that.
I'm
We're
trying.
working
I'm
on the
going
carpal
slow and
tunnel.
steady.
Yeah, don't cross your fingers. So is it weekends? Is it weekdays? Will we see you
I
Thursdays?
think I'm going to end up around Thursday through Sunday, 3 days a week. I'm
Okay.
going to take like 1 day off in the middle there just to like reload, make sure all my truck stuff's like all the food's fresh. Like I've got a mango and an avocado salad on there. Like I like to cut those day of, not like 3 days before and have it nasty. So like those kinds of things. But I think I'm going to target 3 days a week during like once I get really running. The last week of August is the first time I do 3 days in a week. I'm just doing 2 up until then.
I did.
And then probably like September we'll be running 3 days a week, hopefully.
Football season's right around the corner.
Hell
And
yeah.
so, like, you mentioned the mango avocado salad. We've talked about the Cubano, or the Cuban sandwich. I keep calling it the Cubano. I swear to God, Justin Brunson ruined that for me when he named it that at Masterpiece Deli. What else do we have on the docket, maybe for those that are looking sweet or savory?
For sweet, so I'm working with Nick Leonard. He's at Sapsua as a cook there. Him and I worked together the first time I did this. He was my sous chef in Miami for the 2 years I did it. Yeah.
It's such a Chris. You're exactly right. They're fucking from across straight.
Yeah,
states.
it's a small world. We were just, I like came out here and I like saw on his Instagram, I'm like, Nick, are you out here? So like, even when I got here, I'm like, Nick, I'm probably going to end up doing something in a few years here. Just so you know. And I've been like hoping and crossing my fingers, and he's like, I'm in. So like when I told him, he's like, hey, can we do a guava popsicle? I'm like, yeah, I don't give a shit. I ordered like 30 popsicle molds online, and like we make 30 popsicles, and it's awesome. We're like, you can't stack them in a box. The ones on the bottom get flattened, like while I'm traveling, because the freezers get a little hot. So like I make 30. I've got like 18, but like we're getting there. I'm gonna make it to 30 by like the end of August. I'll have them all in there.
And this city loves their sweet treats and cold bites, even in the wintertime. So don't give up on it in November, December. I mean, fucking Sweet Cow, Little Man, and all the other ones we mentioned earlier, they have lines out the door in December, January. So people will still snack on those puppies,
Heck yeah.
even when it's freezing outside.
And they're nice. They're like a reminder of summer almost. They're like guava and like super limey. So like I like it for like almost to bite, like when you get that lime in there. So it's like it feels like it's a reminder of like the hot, which I like. And then savory dish, one I love just because I like if I'm making a vegetarian dish or like a vegan dish, I like the challenge, like quote unquote, like just because in school you're taught a lot of stuff like beef base or like stocks and all of these things, and that you don't learn a ton about vegetables. So I just find it fun. So it's like a take on a traditional Cuban dish called ropa vieja, which is like a tomato and red pepper based sauce, like with stewed beef. But instead of that, we do just enoki mushrooms. I wanted to do mushrooms that one of my buddies in Miami, Chef Shaggy, he's on this shirt. He's the one I did that calamari dish that we were talking about with. Yeah, him and I did like a collab. But he was like, dude, use enoki mushrooms. They shred. They're beautiful. So we like sear them off on the plancha real fast before we do any meat on there anyway. And then we throw them in that ropa vieja sauce, and it's just awesome. Yeah, it's really yummy. And like, honestly, the longer the truck's open, the better it gets, because I have like a steam table set up for that sauce, and it's just like those tomato-based sauces that like just keep going for longer. So like if you get like that last plate of ropa vieja on the truck, you're getting the best one. And the black beans, if I'm honest. Like it's really good off rip. Like the last one's the secretly best one.
What's in the black beans? Talk dirty to me.
Oh, I'll take 1-to-1. I'll blend a whole can of black beans. Or like if I had a restaurant, it'd be like dry beans that like we soak overnight. But like I don't have like, I pay per hour for the commissary, so I have to be like intelligent enough. Like I'm a little excessive, but like, you know, you got to hold your bounds.
Be like, pick your battles a little bit.
Yeah, I bought like 20 little red boats for this dish we were doing. And like the red checker paper, because like fried stuff looks better in that. And like, I don't have that because I don't have a restaurant. So I was like, I went to Jetro Day. Let me rewind. Where were we?
Beans.
Thank you, guys. All right, so the beans. I'll blend up 1 can of beans. We've got another can. I'll put a lot of veg stock in there too when I blend it. The veg stock is just like a standard stock with some parsley and bay leaf in there. Like those are like an oregano because I'm doing that in the beans. We'll sear off a bunch of onions, green peppers. Once that got like a really good color, I'm going to throw in some garlic. And then we're going to toss in, I get pickled jalapenos, and I just throw in like the juice jalapenos, like those nacho jalapenos, like the nasty ones that are amazing and like sweet.
Oh, I know.
Exactly.
I have them in my refrigerator for anytime I'm just doing like basic, anything. I'm like, this would go great with a little pickled jalapeno
It's
from the jar.
incredible. And they're like sweet and spicy, and like, I love that shit. So like, I just pour all that liquid in there, and then honestly, I get a little like sachet with oregano, bay leaf, and a bunch of peppercorns, and like more garlic, and I just let it cook for like 4 or 5 hours while like the pork and lamb are cooking, let's say, like as long as possible, as slow as possible, and that's it. It's just onions, green peppers, garlic, jalapeno, and black beans. And that's like the goal.
It's
usually.
food done right.
Hopefully.
That's
You know what also is a nice thing that he's touching another member of our community with his bread.
gross.
With his bread.
Oh, who are you touching with your bread?
Oh, Get Right's Bakery. I'm using their Cuban bread. I
Fuck,
saw
Matt Doolin is a wizard. That guy,
Yes.
I love his fucking food.
I was about to say, you got Kip by the string.
I mean, I love them so much. They are near our house, so like proximity does play a part in it. It is that and Poulet are my 1 and my 2. I just love them so much. And I mean, everything from their pizzas to their sweets to their hummus sandwich is just something I dream about. It's like, oh, have you had a rough day? Like, do you hate yourself? Get yourself a hummus. I love it. So you're working with folks in the community, both, with resources as well as with supplies. Was it an easy kind of like assimilating yourself with the community or making friends in the industry?
Denver's amazing. Everyone's so nice. And like, I was worried about that when I left Miami because I was like, man, like, I know I can run a restaurant and do those things, but like, what I had in Miami was like a really good network. And like, I love all the chefs I've worked with down there. Like, in 10 years, I've met so many amazing cooks that I learned so much from. So it was just like, coming out here, I was a little nervous, but like, Uncle was a great first place in terms of community and like alumni, like, Get Rights. He's amazing. And I wasn't even, like, I had like a little list of bread shops I was going to go to and like bakeries. And a friend of mine, Danny Levitt, was in town, and he's not a chef, but this kid like is putting in a 7-foot parrilla at his house. He has like a green egg. He has a Traeger. He has another grill. He's like, he loves to cook. We went on his way to the airport. We went to Get Rights, and I was like, I was getting ready to open, and I was just like, there's nowhere else I can go get bread at this point. Like, we had the ham and burr. And it was over. And I had the pastrami.
You
Oh
gotta
my
say
God.
buh, like-
the pastrami's so good too.
They do so, and every time like I see them post something on Instagram, it's like he's like, I'm thinking about doing this like skirt steak breakfast. I was like, fuck, man, where are y'all? Sounds wonderful for breakfast, no less. I mean, they're creative and they're doing things the right way. So it seems like you've got a good, not only like community or nucleus that you're working alongside, but I'm glad to hear that it was with open arms that everybody's like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
And you're right. Tommy his alumni base is strong. Like, he worked, in his growing days over at like Peter's Chinese, a staple in the fast casual Chinese food here in town. But he's like a mainstay, and he's also kind of in that new guard, because the old guard is like the Frank Bonanos and the Richard Sandovals, which we talked a little bit about last week. But that new guard, Tommy was kind of a part of that, opening up Uncle, being one of the first kind of like chic or kind of hip spots in the ramen game out here, and then Hop Alley being a swanky like Asian style dining spot. I feel like he's kind of transcended and blazed a lot of trails, which has made it a little bit friendlier for other chefs to come in and feel comfortable in the community.
I've seen a lot of menus that look like the Uncle one and the Hop Alley one, and like, because it's written beautifully, like the way you see it and you sit down, it's just like, yeah, this makes a lot of sense as a menu. Like, I read this, I know what I want. Like, I know where I could order from. So, like, yeah, he's really good, man.
He is. And, I mean, the vibe over there is exceptional. And they have the new chef's counter over at Hop Alley, which I don't know if Jeff is using the wok, so you may not have the FOMO, but I thoroughly recommend checking it out on your next date night. Place fucking slaps. Okay, so we've done some pretty good work questions. We got to know your history. This next segment of questions is where we ask you some really phallic, weird shit. But it's presented by our friends over at Seed Money Consulting. You mentioned you have to take a day or two off every week to handle your books and your accounting. Well, if you want to follow suit, like our friends Matt Doolin at Get Rights and other small businesses in the community, Seed Money Consulting is there for exactly this. They not only will handle taxes during the early spring, but they also can work with you. They have a CFO in a box, which is a friendly priced option where they help you with your finances throughout the year. They can handle payroll, they can handle quarterly taxes, monthly bullshit, all of the things so that you're not giving the IRS an interest-free loan, or you're not leaving money on the table and getting a big bill at the end of the year. They do it for all of their clients. They don't just work in the culinary space or the hospitality industry. They work with cannabis. They work with content creators. They work with businesses of all industries, small to medium size. If y'all are listening to this and you're like, fuck, I need some of that help. Maybe I don't run a food truck with inventory, expenses, like what can we write off? That's what they're kings of, but you don't have to be in our community to work with Seed Money Consulting. They're based right here in Denver. Give Shahab, Sam, and the fam a call. They will tell them we sent you. I think that means that we'll probably get an extra month of sponsorship out of them. But if not, it doesn't matter. We love them dearly, and we'll continue to work with them because we love what they do for our business as well.
Kick it off with the stoned appetit question. So let's say you put in a busy night at the commissary. You get home, it's late, you're exhausted, you're done with cooking. What are you going for in like your pantry, fridge, freezer? What are you going for that late night snack?
PB&J is always money. We have like this knockoff Cinnamon Toast Crunch that's pretty fire. the frozen chicken fingers. And then I lived pretty close to my brother's bar, so that place will take care of you if you need something before 1 a.m. Like,
Okay, so
oh my God, it's
so is
so-
it sometimes like you're making a PB&J or you're having a bowl of Cinnamon Toast Crunch knockoff?
yeah, both of those. And then if I need to, I will go over to my brother's bar because it's a great burger, man. I love that spot.
And it's a staple in the community. It's been here for fucking ever, literally. It's been here since like Nam, actually pre-Nam. It's been around for like 65 years, pre-smash patties becoming the thing. They have just a juicy burg. They come out with a little caddy that has like mustard, ketchup, onions, lettuce, tomatoes, pickles, all of the accoutrements. That place does fuck hard, but so does CTC. If you're eating a knockoff CTC, do you go for great value from Walmart? Do you get it from like which grocery store knockoff?
Juana gets it, my partner, and I have no idea. It's just delicious. She's been getting it lately.
Does it come straight in a
what's been
bag?
hitting. But it's like this brown bag. It almost looks like the General Mills though, but I can't tell what it is. But it's honestly, it's cereal is what I'll go for. It's just so easy. And like, if I have a banana, I'll cut some banana in there. I love that.
So I thought you were going with like I sprinkled that on a PB&J.
Oh, fuck!
No,
that actually sounds
could be-
good.
Yeah, we could do that.
You may be onto something.
That might, yeah.
I thought you like crunch
write a
on a
recipe
sandwich.
book,
I
man.
thought. Oh.
We're going to have to get Jess to ask one question today. I'll let him pick which one. But this one I'll ask you. You've lived on different parts of the country. You mentioned San Diego as a spot you loved as well. What is your sleeper favorite food city in America? And you can't say Denver. Don't start here glazing our donut.
No,
we know better.
So in like the last, before we moved out here, I was doing a lot of traveling with Juana, and Nashville had really good food. And we ate at this place, Locust, and it was a pop-up then. I don't know if they're like a full-time restaurant or not. That's like one of the cooler things I saw. That's where I saw them do like, they had like a bunch of cooks, and the cooks came out and they took your order. And I love that because like, that's awesome. Like to teach cooks that, just to have them learn that early on in their career too. Like to be able to talk to the guest about the food and like understand the service aspect of a restaurant. So like I saw that, my mind was blown, and then the food was like out of this world delicious. So like that was one of the greatest meals I'd had. And then like Sean Brock is out there and he's got like so much stuff that it's like out of this world. And like, I really enjoyed Nashville when we were there eating.
All right. Jess, give us a good question.
Yeah, so, as someone who considers myself somewhat as a backyard cooker, like you were alluding to earlier with one of your friends, whenever you first got the cooking bug and you were at home on a weekend and looking forward throughout the week, what was a meal that you looked forward to cooking at your house?
I mean, that's a good question.
Well done, Jess.
I don't even know.
Regular over here.
I was doing two things. One thing that I got pretty obsessed with, I don't even know why, was ginger carrot soup. I like really simple stuff, and I was just trying to like figure out how to make soups. So I was playing around with that a lot. And then my mom had all these like food, like best food of the year books, and there was a recipe from the chef from Nobu for the black miso cod that is so freaking good. So I tried to do that like a few times at home because it's like incredible. And then I worked at Zuma in Miami, and they have a dish like that on the menu. That was freaking awesome.
Okay, now if you were going to recreate one item from a fast food chain and perfect it in your kitchen at home,
What the fuck, Jess?
what would it be?
That's a great question again.
How did we think of that?
I don't know. We're going to have to start getting Jess to just be a regular. Call in from Little Rock.
Dude, just a junior bacon cheeseburger from Wendy's, like off that dollar menu. That thing right there, like the too much mayo, like that's like kind of like coming out under the lettuce and you're like trying to save it. That thing right there is incredible.
Would you stick with the square patty?
Hell yeah. I used to, for family meal, we would take a sheet tray and just like flatten out ground beef across it. Like you season it, you throw it in the fridge, and then you pizza roll out Wendy's patties. We used to do that, me and this kid, Josh, who he's at a place, I think it's in Nashville, Iggy's. He's like their pasta roller now. See, another Nashville spot, but I haven't been there.
So first off, Jess, that was a great fucking question. The Wendy's social media page is vicious. They will take someone's head off. That someone was like, I like Wendy's, but their burgers just seem so unnatural being square. And then they were like, yes, because hamburgers come naturally as a fucking circle, dickhead. And it's like, Jesus. I'm going to pivot this question to Jess. Jess, you mentioned you like to cook at home. Chris and I have been doing a lot of that as well. Shout out to our friends over at Pine Melon. You're a Texas boy. You've spent time in every state in the South. What's your go-to, football season's around the corner. What are you making on a weekend when you're doing the home chefing?
I mean, this is super generic, but it's hard to steer from a good old ribeye. There's a lot of things you can do. You can go from the oven to the cast iron, or you can play with I like to use a green egg. You can go hot and fast, or you can do the reverse sear method on the green egg and smoke it and then sear it. So it's what I crave, but can certainly be all over the map if something comes to my mind.
Okay, so are you a natural, or are we just doing like salt and pepper? And then also, what are the perfect sides that you make for your ribeye?
Great question, and the side question will be a little more off the wall than just the generic ribeye. But first, I'll answer. I'm a true purist on the ribeye. Olive oil is what I put on it, and I feel a little bad for even putting that on it. But then it's straight salt and pepper. And one key tip to the ribeye: try to get it close to room temperature before you're putting it on the grill. So set it out of that fridge for about 2 hours minimum before you cook it. On the side, my favorite thing to do, and this has been a recent thing, but I'm a huge fan of the Spanish tortilla. But the tortilla is a little heavy. So what I love from the Spanish tortilla are the potatoes and onions. So I will do a slow cook, slice those potatoes real thin, have them cook in olive oil at a kind of a low heat for, 20, 30 minutes, and then add some onions and keep letting it simmer and put some paprika on there. And that's been my go-to side recently.
I'd eat that.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. So Jess came in town for the same weekend festivities we were discussing earlier, but he's been a long-time listener to the pod, and when he came into town, we went and met up at Tatarian over on Tennyson just to catch up, and he and his partner, she brought me Nerds Gummy Clusters because of our July draft, and I was like, oh my God, I love her. So, Jess, we can't tell you how much we appreciate your support, and thanks for bringing some good questions, because now I think the fast food question is going to have to be a mainstay, and we'll just have to give an ode to Jess every week. So that's great.
I love that.
Including some of the questions we like to ask every week. One of them is just brutally inappropriate and is probably the reason we'll always remain in a basement. If you were going to have sex with a cartoon character, Chef, who would you have sex with and why?
Jessica Rabbit, self-explanatory.
All right, we'll allow it, because last week I think we asked Manny and he was like, I don't want to answer that. And we were like, yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that is fair.
Oh, no, I go with that answer. Too late.
No, that is definitely, that's the fair and the proper answer. Okay, so we have one more question before.
I was very young.
Right? Yeah, we're all in the same age group, so that makes me feel a little better too. We're going to finish off with one last question of the night. It's just to see who you really are. If you were an appetizer on a menu, what kind of appetizer would you be?
Buffalo popcorn shrimp.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Not popcorn always, just buffalo shrimp are like yummy, but they're like...
Not bang bang shrimp, buffalo.
No, straight like buffalo, like Hooters. Like Hooters buffalo shrimp. That's what I would be right there on the money.
Hooters.
Yeah.
I don't even know if we have Hooters anymore.
No, aren't they Twin Peaks out here? That's what I heard. That's like
kind
of
same, but
same
different.
vein.
Yeah. And they've kind of gone the way of Red Lobster. I think they're closing up shop kind of everywhere.
Yes.
I don't know if they did bottomless shrimp, which may have put the Red Lobster in the poorhouse, but they've kind of been in the same camp. But I can't thank you again, not only for taking the time to come over and goof off with us, but also for taking the time to do the interview with Chris, which is more in depth. You can find it on westward.com if you want to hear. It's kind of a little bit cleaner version than me asking you what cartoon animals you would have sex with. But at the same time, before we get out of here, if folks want to maybe find your calendar, your schedule, how can they keep up with where the food truck will be, what days of the week, et cetera, et cetera?
If you go to either my Instagram, sensara.denver.
Spell it.
Sensara.
See, Sensara sounds right.
Oh, you're on it.
I'm
No,
just a
it's all
redneck
good.
and I don't know better.
And then .denver, that's the Instagram. I have my link tree on there. If not, you can go to sensaradenver.com. My menu's on there, and you can get to my link tree from there. My calendar's linked on there, so they can do all that. So sensaradenver.com or my Instagram, sensara.denver.
Chef, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Jess, thank you for bringing us some great questions and some good energy into the room. Anything you want to say before we go?
Keep it rolling, eat Denver.
Look at that. That's a better sign-off than we can get from Eve this week. Well, to be fair, she's safe. We'll let Jess be the one this week. But until next week, y'all, stay high, stay hungry.
Sensara.
Cheers!
Cheers!